Module. Hello everyone, welcome to KT Semicon self-paced learning module. In this particular session, we are going to discuss about read transfers in APB protocol. Now, in our previous videos, we have seen what do you mean by a write transfer and how to perform a write transfer. Now, in the case of our write transfer, we are going to have a master and a slave, and our master was sending the data to the slave, and our p write signal was equal to 1 in that particular case of write operation. But in the case of our read operation, we are going to have our p write is equal to 0. P write is equal to 0 in the sense our master is going to read the data from the slave. Okay, that is nothing but my read operation, and p write will be equal to 0. Okay, now whenever your p write is equal to 0, the master is going to read the data from the slave. Okay, now again in this particular read operation also we are going to have two phases. One is setup phase and another is access phase. Okay, now in the case of your setup phase, you are going to basically setting up the things like you are going to provide the address and you are going to provide the right signal and the p select signal and p enable signal you are going to provide, but your p enable signal is equal to 0 in the case of your setup phase. Okay, now, in the case of your access phase, you can actually read the data from the slave. See, whenever your variable was made to 1 only, in the case of your access phase, you can actually read the data from the slave. Okay, and that also, your period is equal to 1. That is nothing but my read operation. APB protocol is a very simple protocol. You are not going to have any burst operation or any transfer types, right? So simple. In the setup phase, you are not going to get any data in the case of read operation. And in the case of access phase, you are going to get the data from the slave. That's it. Okay. So this is how in the setup phase you can able to read the data from the slave using the PR data signal. Using the PR data signal, you are going to get the data. But in the case of your write operation, you are going to write the data using the PW data signal. But using PR data signal, you can read the data from the slave. Let's say if I'm going to have a wait state. What do you mean by wait state? Wait state is nothing but p ready is equal to 0. If my p ready is equal to 0, that is nothing but it is a wait state. Now what do you mean by wait state? Wait state is nothing but the slave is not ready for any type of transfer. Okay, that means the master should wait and it should not change any control signal or data signal associated, and it is going to wait for the slave to assert this p ready to 1. If this p ready was made to 1, then only the slave is going to provide the read data information to the master, or else it is not going to provide any read data information to the master. Okay, now here the p address signal it is going to provide, and p read signal it is providing to 0. That means it is a read operation, right? And p select was equal to 1. That means a particular slave has been selected. Now your p enable was made to 0. Okay, so that means it is a setup phase. Now whenever your p enable is equal to 0, the slave can keep any value of your p ready. But whenever your p enable is equal to 1, the p ready should be equal to 0 or p ready equal to 1. In this particular case, p ready is equal to 0. That means it is basically a weighted state. Now, whenever our period is equal to 0 and it is a weighted state, then our master is basically waiting for the slave. Okay. So what is happening? Since the master is waiting for the slave, the master is providing this address signal constant, and period signal it is not changing, and p select signal is also not getting changed. Now, whenever our p ready signal was made to 1 by the slave, then only our slave is providing the data information, read data information to the master. Okay, so this is how your slave and the master are going to communicate with each other in the case of your read operation. So that's all about this particular session. Thank you.